Hi, I'm Nick, and welcome to Storytime, Doomsday Clock, Part 3. This is the final part of Doomsday Clock, so please watch parts 1 and 2 before this one. Let's begin. Dr. Manhattan is illustrating the changes the timeline undergoes because of his change. He holds a Legion of Superheroes flight ring from the 30th century, left from when a hero died to save Earth's sun. The explosion sent the ring back in time to now like a tachyon particle. Back in 1940, he moves Alan Scott's lantern out of its reach, and in his hand now there is no ring. There never was. He looks forward in time, but he cannot see anything after a week. It is nothing but darkness. He can't see beyond that point when he sees Superman's fist coming towards him with blood on it. So he has one question he is unable to answer. In a week's time, will Superman destroy him, or will he destroy everything? A mass of ships leave Earth headed for Mars. The title of Chapter 9 is Crisis. Aboard the ships are an assemblage of Earth's heroes. The Hawk People, the New Gods, the Green Lanterns, the Justice League. Steel, Supergirl, and the Metal Men, the Justice League Dark, the Doom Patrol. Batman and the Outsiders, Shazam and the Marvels, and the Charlton characters who the Watchmen cast were based on, are all headed to Mars to confront a very powerful threat to the world, Dr. Manhattan. 5 days ago, a detonation on Earth created a tachyon fog, obscuring the immediate past and future from John's view. It's like trying to read through a kaleidoscope. Now they begin to fade, and he can look into the immediate past, following them to their source, the Moscow disaster. We see the Justice League recovering Batman and Superman from the blast area. There is no sign of Firestorm. While Superman lies unconscious in a hospital bed, the march against metahumans masses outside the Justice League headquarters. Allegations fly of fraud, collusion, accessory to murder. The world's trust in Superman has been shaken, if not broken. Lois couldn't care less. She only wants him to wake up. Even the United States isn't standing up for him, the president tweeting his lack of support, but choosing not to release Firestorm's Department of Metahumans file. Reggie sits on the streets of Gotham with a sign reading, "You see what you want to see." The news reports the metahuman exodus as they leave from Washington. Wonder Woman will address the United Nations soon. Bruce Wayne awakens, and Alfred tells him Superman is recovering in the Hall of Justice. He asks about Firestorm. Firestorm, in his separate bodies of Ronnie Raymond and Professor Stein, is on a ship headed to Mars. Stein tells him they were framed for the disaster, and Ronnie says it's like the lie that he's part of the Supermen Theory. Batman can't believe the heroes have all left the planet. Green Arrow heaps scorn on the media criticizing Superman. Alfred says the heroes analyzed the scene and found Firestorm wasn't the source, but they traced the energy to Mars. Bruce thinks there's more going on than that, and prepares to send a message to Mars. It'll take 13 minutes. The Green Lanterns arrive and find a photograph John left in his wake, but they still know nothing about him. But they've also found a structure up ahead. Lex finds Lois, asking if she's got the drive he sent her. She prepares to defend Superman, but Lex says that he's here to help. Stein wants them to turn themselves in, but Red Tornado says they're about to confront the villain responsible, and they become Firestorm. The Lanterns create a bubble around Mars, and Ronnie fills it with breathable air. The Question claims the Superman theory is fact, not conspiracy, but no one wants to hear it now. John's sight is still clouded, so his immediate future is unclear, but he sees how this ends. Martian Manhunter introduces himself and asks John who he is, where he's from, and what his intentions are. He says they're here looking for answers they don't know the questions to. Guy Gardner assumes he is insane because of his time confusion. He postures, telling John about all the threats the heroes of Earth have defeated. Manhunter says he's confused. John says it's only for the moment, as in 5 seconds Martian Manhunter will broadcast the clearest thought he's found in John's mind, his final vision of Superman. He does, and the heroes assume John intends to destroy Superman before he can destroy him, or possibly end the universe. Gardner attacks, punching John in the face. His neck snaps and he falls to the ground, then his body disappears. John instantly reforms himself. He's curious about Gardner's ring, and asks what's inside it as he touches it. The ring vanishes, and Guy is in his regular clothes. He admits it's enjoyable not knowing what was and will be, and he analyzes the energy as emotion coalesced and manufactured into power by the ring, and he finds it difficult to affect. Not surprising, as one thing John lacks is willpower. The magic users attack next, and John says they all believe they're using magic. He easily controls everything they send at him, saying it's the power they harness is actually the scraps of creation. like random errors in computer code discarded and forgotten, left to be picked up and used by those who also find themselves discarded and forgotten. An accurate description of DC's magic. He says it feels good to still learn, and unleashes the power, blasting the heroes back. Lex tells Lois he's here to help her with the story of her life. Saying he understands her caution, he hands her a loaded gun. He sent her the footage of the heroes who never were, saying it's proof that there's a force out there undermining all of creation. He asks if she's ever heard of Wally West. Wally's been missing since the New 52, at this point lost in the Speed Force and erased from history. Wonder Woman prepares to unveil her plan for peace to the United Nations, and on Mars, Firestorm attacks Dr. Manhattan, saying he doesn't know who they're dealing with. John agrees that he is not. Ronnie sits in a hall in regular clothes, and John tells him that they are 7 years ago, 2 hours before he becomes Firestorm. People outside are protesting a power they fear. John says that Firestorm is one of the most powerful metahumans he's ever encountered, and potentially the most deadly. Ronnie hears Professor Stein's voice saying it's almost time. Stein is on the phone to his Department of Metahumans boss, describing the study he's put into Ronnie and the proposed accident about to occur. He plans to learn more about the metahuman community from the inside. Ronnie insists that it's all a lie, and tells John to get out of his head as flames burst from his head and hands. It was only a mental projection. John says he simply wanted to prove that even hope decays. Firestorm unleashes energy at him, causing him to kneel. The other heroes see this as vulnerability and pile on with their own energy attacks. John finds it all interesting. The Green Lantern, Supergirl, Shazam, and others fire energy blasts at him, until Captain Atom says, forget Superman, he's the last thing John is going to see, and he splits his body apart with nuclear force. A similar detonation occurs on Mars, scattering rocks and debris. Wonder Woman stands before the United Nations and says today is the day we can begin to heal. She says the world has been under assault by mistruths, fear, and extremism, that there is no singular villain behind it. They've all played a role. Batman's message failed to send, and the heroes are picking themselves up. John reforms again, nervous system first, and asks what it is they were hoping to accomplish. John puts all the heroes to sleep without further harm as Diana is interrupted. Titania and Black Adam crash through the roof of the United Nations. He's heard all her friends are on vacation, and he's making his move. The title quote for Chapter 9 is from Seneca. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for crisis. The back pages for Issue 9 are Firestorm's Department of Metahumans file. A letter written by Martin Stein confirms that what John showed Ronnie was the truth. Ronnie was never aware of it, but his creation was coordinated. Stein's theory was correct that the more powerful the accident, the more powerful the metahuman created. Nathaniel Dusk lies on the floor with the answer to his mystery. His ex-wife isn't dead after all. It was all a setup to get Dusk to kill her current husband by making him believe he had killed her. At the end of the scene, Carver Coleman asks for his next line. It's June 8th, 1954, and John is attending the final shooting day of the adjournment. Carver hasn't finished one take. He says it's a headache, but really he received a blackmail letter a week ago threatening to expose his darkest secret. The next day, Carver lies on the floor in a pool of blood, his head caved in. 5 days later, John stands at Carver's grave and feels nothing. The title of Chapter 10 is Action. Back on the set, Carver insists they have to finish shooting today. At 10 that night, he awaits his blackmailer. His mother approaches and says she only wants to protect his lie, but it's going to cost him. He says he doesn't want to do this here. 4 hours ago, Nathaniel Dusk asks his ex-wife if she ever loved him, or if it was all a game to her. She says that she did, and that's why she left him that present. Murray, his cop friend, also in on the scheme, insists that he open it. Inside is a glass globe, and his ex says it felt like they were the only two people in the world when they were alone. She wanted him to have that world, to remember. He throws the globe and knocks the gun out of Murray's hand. John says that worlds live, worlds die. Nothing lasts forever. Or does it? He remembers his past, the moment when he left the Watchmen universe to enter the multiverse. He arrives in the DC universe on April 18th, 1938. He's been drawn to Superman's world for reasons he doesn't understand yet, and the first person he speaks to is Carver Coleman. Carver arrived in Hollywood in 1928 and worked as a mail carrier for a year before he saw the studio head kissing a man behind a stage. He dropped his cigarette, causing the stage to burn down and Carver to lose his job. In 1937, he lost another job as a waiter when he skipped work to wait for an audition that never happened and was evicted a year later. That night, he slept in the streets of Los Angeles. At 10 to midnight, he was awoken by a blue light and asked, "Why is he there?" The police have woken him up to move him along out of the nice neighborhood. When John arrives, the first thing he hears is Carver crying out to the man who had struck him. The first thing he sees is Carver checking the man for a pulse. John sees instantly the people in this world are different, and wonders if that's why he was drawn here. Confused for the first time since Adrian used the tachyons on him, he tries to understand the time difference between the two worlds. On Mars, in the present, Hal has recovered, and John puts him back to sleep. He does the same to several others, saying he needs them incapacitated for reasons that will become clear. He's waiting for Superman. In 1943, the first Nathaniel Dust picture is released. Though controversial, it is the studio's biggest hit of the year. John introduces himself to Carver in 1938. Carver asks if he's an angel, and John says no. He hears Carver's hunger, and they go into a diner. John says he won't need money, and explains that he is shifting the light around his body to appear normal to everyone else. Carver orders some soup. John feels like he's walking through a fog. He tries a simple exercise, looking 3 minutes into the future. He's unable to. He needs something to focus on. He tries looking 1 year into Carver's future, and Carver's telling John he was right. He got the part. Back in 1938, Carver thought maybe John was sent to help him, and asks if he isn't an angel, is he God? His eyes are adjusting to this universe. He sees 1943, and Carver is excited about the continuing success of the Dusk series. In 1952, Carver has won an award for his acting. In 1954, Carver is distraught, asking what it means that he won't be here a year from now. In 1955, and John is indeed alone. John can see again. Back in 1938, Carver asks if maybe he should just give up. John tells him that 8 months from now he will be cast in a role that will change his life. On the radio, he hears a report about a man who can lift a car over his head. News about Superman quickly travels across America. John is then gone, leaving behind a photograph. The green car from the cover of Action Comics #1 is smashed into a rock, the people describing a man dressed like a wrestler with a cape who leapt away over a building. Then, the car, the crowd, and Superman are gone. They were never here. The world has changed. Theoretical physics describes the many worlds idea that the universe is constantly splitting into alternate timelines. The heroes of this Earth called it the multiverse, and this world was its center. Superman appeared first on April 18, 1938, the first costumed hero. In 1940, Alan Scott survived a train crash by holding onto a Green Lantern. Around the same time, the origins of the Flash, Jay Garrick, Hawkman, the Atom, Al Pratt, Dr. Fate, Sandman, and the Spectre, and Our Man all occur. In 1940, the Justice Society meets. They would like to wait for Superman to join before they announce themselves. He was an inspiration to Flash, but Adam thinks that Green Lantern's ring is power enough. Johnny Thunder says he can find Superman and begins to ask his magic genie for help. Suddenly, the scene changes and Green Lantern has never heard of Superman. No one has. In 1948, John arrives to meet Carver Coleman. He asks if he's ever heard of Superman, which he hasn't. John leaves. He goes to the Kent farm where it always begins. In 1956, Superman is seen in Metropolis for the first time. 25 years earlier, a rocket lands in Kansas. Jonathan and Martha Kent find the orphan boy, and John realizes that an outside force moved Superman's arrival forward in time. This change affects every world in the multiverse. Superman is first seen in 1938, and now it's 1956. Then it changes again, and he's now being shown the rocket by Pa Kent in 1986. It changes again, and again. Clark runs out to the field saying he doesn't want to be different, he wants to be Jonathan's son. Jonathan Kent tells Clark that he is his son. John doesn't understand this universe. Clark says goodbye to his elderly parents in 1949 before they pass away. In 1956, he visits the graves of his parents. In October 1986, his parents are alive. Years later, Jonathan dies again in his son's arms. John believes he's misinterpreted what this universe actually is, and he looks to the future, following Superman's trail of influence. How can one man affect so much, even 1,000 years in the future? His hope is alive. After years of isolation and loneliness, Clark is brought to the future by three superpowered teenagers and shown the Legion of Superheroes, which he inspired with his heroic career. John realizes that this universe is much more than it appears, and it's all connected to him. Why is he the center of this universe? Forces such as the Anti-Monitor and Extant have been responsible for shifts in his timeline, by causing the reboot shown in Crisis on Infinite Earths and Zero Hour. Darkness seems to target the hope he embodies in efforts to redefine him. John grows curious. As others have done, he reshapes the universe to see how it forms around Superman. He changes the past to challenge the future, and as he watched reality come crashing down, he realizes the universe is not part of the multiverse as he had believed. The multiverse reacts to this universe. There have been endless parallel worlds, none, 52, a dark multiverse, all created by changes to this one. This universe stands apart from the multiverse. It is the metaverse, and it is in a constant state of change. As John removes the linchpin of the Justice Society, he changes Superman once again. He watches his take on reality sharpen into focus. Superman is sent to Earth as a child and found by the Kents in the wake of Martha having a miscarriage. On the eve of Clark's high school prom, his parents are killed in a car accident. Without his parents or the Legion, Clark grows more distant from humanity. John understands him better, relates to him more. 5 years ago, he feels the power of changing Superman. It is intoxicating. He has altered the metaverse, and in turn, the multiverse. He has created the new 52 universe, is what this seems to be saying. 1 year ago, the metaverse became aware of his hubris. Wally West escapes the Speed Force long enough to warn John that he knows what he did, and that the heroes will stop him. John realizes the metaverse is not passive. Like an organism fighting to survive, he is underestimated, and the innate hope that fights back to the surface. He has recreated the metaverse, and it has turned against him. He sees a vision of Superman in the future. He has found John. And he destroys him, or John destroys the metaverse. John stands in Carver's apartment on June 8, 1954, the day Carver dies. In 10 seconds, Carver will be dead. As he fixes John a drink, Carver Coleman is murdered by his mother. In the dusk film, he is shot by his cop friend. She and her associate take what valuables they can find. His housekeeper burns her letter, protecting his secret. The murder is never solved. It's May, 1979. I have ended the war in Vietnam. I watch Edward Blake shoot a woman with child and do nothing. It's April 1938. I use a man named Carver Coleman to help me find balance in the metaverse. 16 years later, I watch his mother bludgeon him to death in his home, and I do nothing. It's November 1st, 1985. Adrian kills millions to unite the world. November 2nd, I let him walk free. I am a being of inaction, on a collision course with a man of action. To this universe of hope, I have become the villain. The title quote for Chapter 10 comes from Socrates. Every action has its pleasures and its price. The back pages for issue 10 are the letter Carver's mother sent him, splattered with his blood, and the script for the adjournment. She threatens to reveal that Carver is a homosexual, demanding money or else she will sell her story. On page 1, Dusk drinks to forget his dead ex-wife and lost children when his cop friend Murray comes to his office. On the second to last page, Dusk throws the globe at Murray. He goes for the gun, but Joyce kicks it away back to Murray. Dusk says he hasn't lost yet. He's called the police and they're outside. He solved the chess murders 35 minutes ago. He knows they were both targets, and Joyce had Murray kill them both. He was so focused on what made the two men different, when it was what they had in common that mattered. The city planner was Murray's brother-in-law. Every plan he approved over the last year was connected to Joyce's mobster husband's businesses, and he was on the payroll. The banker fronted the cash. He just doesn't know why they brought him into it. To keep him busy while they cleaned up loose ends? Or did Joyce want him to stop her? As the cops rush in, Murray shoots Dusk in the back. The final scene shows Dusk limping on a crutch, wounded from the shooting days before. Doc says the limp will put me out of the game permanently. I don't mind. I was honest. I was loyal. And I learned the greatest lesson of all. It's not who wins or loses. It's how you played the game. The President has declared that without Superman, the U.S. must rely on traditional deterrence to foreign threats. Batman prevents the launch of a nuclear missile. Gang war has broken out between Joker and two new villains across Gotham. Alfred reads Rorschach's journal and goes out looking for Reggie. Putin prepares to send the people's heroes into America after Superman if he does not appear. The National Guard is out in Gotham to arrest Batman, who has been charged with treason after leaving dozens of American soldiers wounded, some severely. Wonder Woman fights with Titania and Black Adam to defend the United Nations. Black Adam says she preaches of peace as if that's what the United States leaders actually want. He says they are descended from the same people who raped the Amazons, who killed so many of them. They fight for the privileged. He says that he fights for the oppressed, and he asked her whose side is she on. Hundreds of metahumans are gathering in Kandak. If the government would come clean about the few they did create, maybe they could help restore faith in the rest of them, but they will not. The Amazons prepare a rescue mission to bring Diana back to Paradise Island. Putin has given the United States a deadline of midnight to hand over Superman, and many Americans believe they're better off without him. Lois tells Lex to wipe that smile off his face. He says it is a assailant claimed to be from another world, as did the man he fought with. He had claimed he created an alien invader, the illusion of a common enemy which killed millions but united his planet. Lois says if that's true, he's a bigger madman than Lex. Lex says he was exposed, and his world fell into nuclear war, leading him to come here, seeking the only being with the power to save it. He was desperate to find Dr. Manhattan. The Doomsday Clock is at 1 minute to midnight. Superman wakes up alone. Metropolis is engulfed in riots, as is every city in the world. The title of Chapter 11 is A Lifelong Mistake. A metahuman military exercise has destroyed the pyramids of Giza. A bizarre lightning storm is tearing across the United States. Japan suggests the odd weather is due to firestorm's detonation, though the source is a debated topic. America's metahumans went to Mars days ago searching for answers and have not been heard from since. The Flash Museum and Planet Krypton theme restaurant have been set on fire by the mobs. Adrian must have returned the owl ship after meeting with John because he has both Johnny Thunder and Saturn Girl locked in cells. Adrian pets Bubastis as he watches the chaos unfold on his many monitors. He hopes there will be a world to remember. This world needs a hero. Adrian hears Saturn Girl in his mind, at first mistaking her for another screen. She wants to know why she can't read his mind. Lex leads Lois into his most secret facility and shows her an item he bought from the estate of Carver Coleman, a photograph of John. He believes it was found on April 18, 1938. He's been tracking strange anomalies like this since he was a boy. 2 years ago, he'd been tracking abnormal coronal energy spikes, increasing in power and frequency, leading him to believe something was trying to enter the universe from beyond. In a park, he overheard 2 flashes talk about someone who has altered reality, back when Barry remembered Wally used to exist. But they weren't the source of the anomaly. Lying in the grass was a photograph. He says there was also coronal debris in the area, including the film he sent her, and some personal items of Wally's. Evidence that reality had been altered, but the photograph was a true anomaly. Lex shows Lois dozens of identical photographs arranged in order. His teams have found them all over the globe, mostly in America, but one was found in the Congo only days ago. The first appears to be the one from 1938, but John's suit clearly is from the 50s. Lois asks if the photos are traveling through time, and Lex says not these. They appear to be left behind like a trail of breadcrumbs across most of last century and into this one. She asks why someone would create these, but Lex doesn't think he's aware of it. But whoever they are, they're the most powerful being Lex has ever encountered. As the end approaches, things come into focus. John clearly sees the moment of Reagan's attempted assassination. 4 hours from now, the street he's on will be rubble, and he will speak with Superman for the first time. Superman is being accosted by American soldiers who ask him to come with them under orders from the president. Superman asks them to lower their weapons. He doesn't want any trouble. Saturn Girl tells Adrian that Superman will stop him. He tells her that Superman doesn't know he exists. She can read his mind, but can't find the truth. His head is full of lies. He says she's come here from the future to warn Superman about something she doesn't understand. He tells her one truth, though. She's never going to see Superman again. Superman takes off, saying he'll go to the president to discuss the issue with him. Saturn Girl tells Adrian the truth, that he will never destroy Superman. He says with a grin that he's counting on Superman surviving whatever comes his way. Reggie dreams of his father, sees him walking into a cell against the warnings of police, and screams for him to turn back. Flames burst from the cell, engulfing him. Staring into the flames, Reggie sees Mothman walking out to greet him. Reggie says that Rorschach was a monster. Byron tells him to see what he wants to see, and morphs into an ink blot, which morphs into Rorschach's face. And he says that he sees the world dying, and he reaches through Reggie's bars to grasp his neck. Reggie wakes screaming and Alfred is there. He reminds Reggie that he liked his cooking. He apologizes for not believing him and asks for his help in stopping Ozymandias. He brought pancakes, but Reggie insists that he's not Rorschach and runs away. Mime and Marionette deal with a hunting party of Joker's goons. Marionette slices through a thug's gun hand, and Mime is holding something. Adrian's original plan was to find John and convince him to return to this Earth, to save it from nuclear annihilation. But he knew after the discussion that John would never listen to him, so he set his sights on Mime and Marionette. By promising them the location of their son, he pulled their proverbial strings. Mime lets go of his invisible rope, and the comedian drops onto one of the goons. I required them because of their past experience with Dr. Manhattan. John was responsible for their incarceration. Everyone believed he had hesitated to kill Marionette because she was pregnant, but I knew in the past John had watched the comedian shoot and kill a pregnant woman and had done nothing. John revealed to me over the years he had seen Marionette's child's future. This boy would be adopted by a couple and he would bring joy to a woman who'd been very important to John at one time in his life. I hoped that upon seeing Marionette, John would be reminded of the family he chose to protect by granting Marionette a mercy she most certainly did not deserve. And you broke them out of prison? Not me. My other puppet, who was even easier to manipulate than Marionette and Mime. Reggie Long mistakenly believed Rorschach was a friend of his father's, Dr. Malcolm Long, because Byron Lewis chose to rip out the pages in Dr. Long's report detailing the dark turn in his relationship with Kovacs. As the new Rorschach, Reggie came after me, blaming me for his parents' death. But he found me dying of cancer, a facade I maintained until John exposed the truth. Reggie believed I was overwhelmed with guilt and shame over the tragedy in New York. He gathered Marionette and Mime, and once I re-engineered the owl ship, you turned it into a time sphere. Whatever you want to call it. It locked on John's signal, and as the missiles fell around us, we made our way to this universe. Poor Reggie. He had no idea he was wearing the mask of the man that destroyed his parents, working for the man who manipulated him as Byron unknowingly did, coming to this strange, colorful world. And it was here that I realized John had journeyed to someplace special and horrifying. A world of extremes impossible to reconcile, one full of hope and at the same time despair, a schizophrenic society overrun with superpowers and costumes. He refused to help us, obsessed with an impending confrontation with Superman that would lead to his own destruction or this universe's. But it was clear why John had ventured here. To be with his own. He refused to help us, believing that a confrontation with Superman would lead to his or this universe's oblivion. So I came up with a new plan, one to save both worlds. This world's belief in Superman was holding it together like string and chewing gum. In order for things to change, they must hit rock bottom. So what if I could turn the world against Superman? In my search, I discovered the Supermen Theory to be partially true. After Superman's arrival, the U.S. government had begun experiments in an attempt to create its own metahumans. These confidential programs were led by Professor Martin Stein, who later caused the accident that bonded him and student Ronald Raymond into Firestorm. Raymond's psychological profile revealed a deeply flawed and insecure human being, one I could manipulate as Stein did. After I leaked this information to Firestorm's Russian counterpart, Pozar, I placed Raymond under increasing pressure from the media. Ultimately, Superman went to Moscow to intervene, defending Firestorm in the hopes he might save lives. Then Bubastis helped me create a little detonation. People died, Superman was blamed for protecting Firestorm, but I wanted the metahumans who would no doubt investigate to quickly learn the explosion was not Firestorm. The heroes of this Earth would track the energy not back to me and Bubastis, but to John, resulting in a battle that removed all of Superman's metahuman allies. The stage is set. The news reports that Russian metahumans are gathering in Red Square ahead of the midnight deadline, and Amazonians have stormed the United Nations and kidnapped Wonder Woman, leaving no one to stop Black Adam. On the White House lawn, Black Adam destroys the president's chopper. The lightning storms that covered Black Adam's troop movement. He issues a message to all metahumans that the revolution is now, inviting them to join him and free the world from enslavement. Superman lands and says this has gone far enough. Black Adam gives him one chance to stand aside. Whatever you're trying to do, Superman will stop it. I've seen the future, and it's because of Superman. Yes. Well, if Superman is so important to you, to your existence, then let me ask you one thing, Saturn girl. Does Superman remember you? No. No, what's happening? I would theorize you're no longer part of the timeline. You just didn't realize it. Long live our worlds. This one will become my tomb, but that tomb will be a monument. Oh, quit crying, old man. You're from the past, and the past won't be erased. In 6 seconds, Superman will see me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is now. It is Superman. It is me. It is us. It is the world. It is time. It's time. The title quote is from James Joyce's A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. I am not afraid to make a mistake, even a great mistake, a lifelong mistake, and perhaps as long as eternity too. The back pages for issue 11 are Lex's photographs, the first being the one from 1938. Numbers 2 through 11 show John's path through the DC universe, from the movie studio to the train wreck to Smallville to Arkham Asylum. The final photograph shows the Flash of Two Worlds cover, the first story that established Earth 2 in the multiverse. Lex has realized he and Superman are locked in endless permutations of struggle across different versions of reality, and will stop at nothing to learn more about it. John thinks back across his whole life, realizing that everything ends. Nothing lasts forever. Not hope, not even him. He remembers his origin, his transformation, his father telling him time no longer matters and abandoning his work as a watchmaker. Dr. Manhattan faces Superman. In 11 minutes and 57 seconds, it all ends. Trying to understand the nature of the metaverse, John reached into history and the world turned against him. Now he faces a collision with its most unavoidable and greatest antibody. John says, "Hello, Superman." Superman asks who he is, and John says he's the one Superman is going to destroy, or the one who will destroy everything. Superman is distracted by Posar leading a group of foreign metahumans seeking retribution for the Moscow incident. The title of Chapter 12 is Discouraged of Man. Black Adam invites Posar to be part of a government that doesn't want to control him, but he refuses to betray his homeland. John thinks over what he knows of the DCU timeline and its changes, and he watches Superman get attacked. As Superman fights, John thinks he is stuck at a question with two answers, and he cannot see beyond Superman. Other countries are mobilizing their metahumans to join the conflict in America. In 10 minutes, the world melts away, and John sees nothing but darkness. Reggie is attacked by a shop owner. He tells him to fight back, but Reggie sees nothing to fight for. Alfred arrives and knocks the owner out with his own weapon. He offers the face to Reggie, but Reggie says he doesn't know what it is. Alfred says that he read Kobach's journal. He knows what it is. Reggie slams Alfred into the wall, yelling that Rorschach was a monster, filled with emptiness. Reggie's eyes were closed, but now he sees the truth. Fighting won't help. Alfred's world will end like his did. Alfred says that it will unless they do something to save it. He asks Reggie to see what he sees. Pieces of rock floating in space. He sees no future. He sees no hope. Hope is lost, and he cannot find it. Metahuman war has engulfed Washington, D.C., and if you've read Kingdom Come, you know that this is the kind of war that, left unchecked, can end a world. Father used to wake me up every morning with a smile on his face. He'd tell me no matter what came my way to make the most of it. He believed there was good to be found everywhere, in everyone. We just had to look for it. We had to see it, and help others see it too. Never gave in to dark thoughts. Some people can't see the good. They only want everyone else to suffer with them. And they're gonna win. The world is drowning in hate and anger, sides separated by an ever-widening canyon of digital bile. Soon, both factions will tumble off edge, falling into bottomless pit of liberal self-righteousness and outdated identity politics. Hands clutching their weaponized phones, finding no olive branch to save them, because neither side knows what that means anymore. Why not let this ugly world destroy itself? There's nothing we can do now. Dr. Manhattan watches passively as a car is about to crush a woman and a young girl. Suddenly, Superman catches the car, saving them. He yells at John to help these people, whoever he is. John says he doesn't help him. He's seen it. Superman says that he can't do this alone. Less than 4 minutes remain in John's sight. He remembers this feeling. Millions died, a complicated prospect of peace brought to an unhinged world. Killing Walter Kovacs, he became part of the lie, not yet realizing the illusion would one day end. Lex tells Lois to go write her article and expose the truth about history being altered. Lois asks why, to panic people? Lex says no, so that he gets the credit for the discovery. He selects a vibrational emitter from his arsenal and heads out into the world. He has a meeting with someone. Mime and Marionette joyride away from the police, the comedians still their captive. Batman has arrived and asks if Reggie believes everything is predetermined as John does. Reggie says that if he read the journal, then he knows who Rorschach is too, and why he can't wear that mask. He says Byron Lewis lied to him, and now all he can see is Rorschach destroying his parents. Batman says Reggie sees a monster when he looks at the mask, but he can take it, change it, make people see something else. He would know. Superman flies toward John, his cape torn, his blood staining his hands. John closes his eyes to meet his destiny. Superman, eyes filled with rage, throws his fist forward. Superman's fist flies over John's shoulder and strikes Posar before he can attack John. John is confused. Why would you defend me? I don't know what to think about all this, but I do know that right now you have a choice to make. You talk about me destroying you or you destroying me because all you see beyond this is nothing, but maybe there's a third choice. Who is she? She? You're creating these photographs with every step you take. I assume they're important to you. John! Janie! She was. Maybe the darkness you see? Maybe it takes everything you have to save your world. Maybe you make that choice. Yes. I understand now. Everything ends. Blue light envelops this universe. As reality fades into darkness, Superman is left alone, and then finally his symbol is the last thing in existence. It too dissipates, leaving only darkness. Even the borders separating the panels are gone, and there is nothing but a single black infinitude. It is the end. The Doomsday Clock is stopped. But it is also the beginning. Time returns to the universe as panels have borders again. A light bursts out from the darkness. The planet Krypton explodes and a single rocket escapes the destruction. It begins with a child. The metaverse forms around this one and only sun. The rocket lands in a multitude of times and places. Jonathan Kent tells his son it's too dangerous to show himself to the world. He says they've never seen anything like him. If they did, they'd be afraid. In July of 1940, Alan Scott dies in a train wreck. John moves the lantern back, and now Alan Scott survives and becomes Green Lantern. Now Jonathan Kent tells Clark that in his youth his father told him stories of the Justice Society, heroes who made people feel safer and inspired them to do their part. If Clark's ready to get out there and show people what he can do, Jonathan says the world is ready. Clark goes to the dance and his parents drive home. Again, the car careens toward a tree, but now it is caught in time by Superboy. Adrian and Bubastis have both felt the change. 1,000 years from now, the Legion exists again. In 1917, Johnny Thunder is born and sent to Badnesia, the home of his magical genie. Through her ring, Saturn Girl tells Johnny he only forgot that he became the Magic Thunderbolt. He speaks his magic word and transforms. The future and the past are free. Back on the streets, Superman no longer fights alone. Saturn Girl and Jay Garrick both greet him. Jay apologizes for being late. Superman says, well, better late than never. Superman flies at Black Adam, now backed up by both the Legion of Superheroes and the modern Justice Society of America. Johnny Thunder pits his magical thunder against Black Adam's lightning as wins. As the battle ensues, the heroes have the upper hand. I see tomorrow. I see the man of tomorrow. And for the first time, I am inspired. It is April 18th, 1938. Metal whines as Superman lifts a 1937 Ford over his head, revealing himself to Metropolis. Decades later, a police scientist struck by lightning and the birth of the Speed Force rattles the metaverse. Superman's timeline shifts forward and reality divides for the first time, creating the multiverse. Earth 2 is born. After the first and greatest crisis, the Earth divides again. Earth 1 becomes Earth 1985, a world unexplored even today. And now I understand why these Earths exist. Every time there is a change in the metaverse, the multiverse grows, to preserve every era of Superman. More are created over the years, including one because of my interference. After the Flashpoint, and this rebirth, Earth 52 is out there. I look beyond, now. In the year 2020, Superman's timeline is bombarded by the reckless energies of the old gods, once again warping the metaverse. It's July 2nd, 2025. A crisis unlike any the metaverse has seen, one they will call Time Masters erupts. But in its wake, Superman is revitalized, and his greatest allies return. No matter how many times Superman's existence is attacked, he will survive, even if change is a constant, because hope is the North Star of the metaverse. It is January 2026, the timeline is restored, and Earth 5G is born. It is June 17th, 2026. Superman goes on a quest to find Bruce Wayne's lost daughter, so she can save Bruce's son. On July 10th, 2030, the Secret Crisis begins, throwing Superman into a brawl across the universe with Thor himself, and a green behemoth stronger than even Doomsday, who dies protecting Superman from these invaders. In its wake, Superman's timeline shifts forward again. It's April 18th, 2038. Superman appears in public for the first time. 22 years earlier, the Kent's prayers for a child are answered when a rocket lands on their farm. Superman's timeline shifts forward again. April 18th, 2038 now marks a different date. Jonathan, Martha, and their baby, Colin, find the boy who will one day be Superman. The rocket arrives again in the year 2045, delivering the Kents their only child. They find the rocket with their 3-year-old daughter, Clara, in the year 2162. In 2965, Superman appears in Metropolis for the first time. The rocket arrives. A child is loved. Superman is made. I now understand Superman's true purpose. He will show them the way. And in a millennium, when his timeline converges with the Legion's, humankind will finally embrace the ways of Superman. He is the bridge stretching across generations that will lead everyone to peace. Between what I learned from Lex pontificating, which took all the patience in the world, and this, thank you, Bruce. The arrival of Wonder Woman, who fought alongside the Justice Society of America during World War II. Countless lives saved by the Legion of Superheroes. I did it. Again. Did what exactly? Everything we needed to clear Superman's name was on your ship. Yes, I know. I left it for you to find and give to his wife, no doubt. It's all gone according to plan. Don't worry, Bubastis, it's only John. Let him summon us. I know, that damn blue light. And we were having so much... I know what you've done, Adrian. I would expect nothing less by this point in the game, John. Once I learned about your vision of Superman and Superman himself, it was rather a simple initiative. If I couldn't convince you to use your powers to save our world, I was certain he would. All I had to do was arrange the confrontation. So let's go home. Everyone lives today. Adrian is shot. So maybe you, Veidt. Goddamn asshole. Now for you two clowns. I don't use that language often myself, but it's appropriate. You goddamn asshole. What do you do? I'm negating the vibrational frequency that's brought you here. I'm sending you back to wherever you came from. No! Manhattan! You son of a bitch! This can't be how it ends! It is October 11th, 1985. Glass shatters. The comedian hits the sidewalk. Veidt. We all get what we want, Reggie. I get to die a hero. John gets purpose. You get revenge. Don't want revenge. Want justice. Gah! Want to stop the bleeding. You live. Pay for your crimes. Rot in prison. You're not Rorschach. No. Rorschach is me. Erica Manson, you and Marcos Myers are not coming with us. What? We were promised we'd get our son back. We want our son, damn it. You have a daughter on the way. As for your son, my plan is that you'll see each other again. He will need an anchor here, as I did. An anchor? I see the light now. I see my final purpose. It is April 18th, 1954. My anchor sits in a diner, nerves trembling. It is 1 second after my annual conversation with Carver Coleman. I'm not gonna be here a year from now? What does that even mean? I'm sorry I didn't explain myself better. John, you're back? It is I who will not be around. I don't understand. I haven't been a very good friend, Carver, but I can see so many futures now. Make a good choice. Don't be afraid of what you feel. It's not who wins or loses. It's how you played the game. The Dusk Marathon has ended, and we learn that instead of being murdered, Carver revealed his secret to the world himself before the adjournment released. He was blacklisted for years and lost his home, but he returned to acting in the mid-60s and went on to win an Academy Award. In 1973, he was instrumental in getting homosexuality removed from the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic Manual of Medical Disorders. He died in 2005, his partner of over 40 years by his side. His personal slogan has been adopted by activists all over the world. Don't be afraid of what you feel. The JLA returns from Mars, claiming to have neutralized the threat to Superman. The JSA has pledged to investigate the Supermen Theory and the Department of Metahumans' involvement. Martin Stein has been arrested for his involvement and the department has been exposed. Dialogue has begun between the Justice League of America and the People's Heroes of Russia thanks to Superman. The world is healing from both the metahuman crisis and John's involvement. Things are returning to normal. Batman has placed Rorschach's journal in his trophy case. Mime and Marionette end up with the owl ship. Lex thinks Adrian had the right idea, but it could be improved upon. Clark? Cat got your tongue? No, Lois, there's such a long road ahead. Well, no one said you could blink and make everything perfect. The world's more connected than ever, but it's never been so divided. People are choosing sides instead of extending their hands. But it's not too late. You did it. You reached out to him. You changed him. And he'll change someone now too, don't you think? Because if you have faith in that, there's hope for all of us. Clark begins to smile. His parents step off the bus and they hug. I affected his world. And now he will affect mine. It is November 22nd, 1992. Veidt's plan has blown up in the world's face. The ash is still warm under my feet. The tachyons from the owlship departing are still dissipating. It is 1945. The cogs fly into the air. It is 1959. I fix Janie's watch. It is 1992. I see a light. John heals the blasted earth. It is December 25th, 1992. Reggie Long stands over the cold ground in front of Byron Lewis's gravestone and finds warmth. His breath leaks through the fabric as he mutters under the mask. Thank you. It is March 13th, 1993. Veidt's headquarters had become his prison. Every day after school, a young orphan named Cleopatra Pax stands outside, obsessed with the rise and fall of Ozymandias. On her 16th birthday, with a fully grown Bubastis at her side, Miss Pock will call herself Nostalgia. Life doesn't stop, but it needs love. As callous and cruel as Erica Manson and Marcos Myers can be, the love between them is real. What about Anita, after your mother? 8 months from Anita Myers will be born. It is 1984. Marionette and Mime are robbing a bank a mile from Rockefeller. Alerted, I go to confront them. I hesitate to kill them because I see their son's future. He will bring great happiness to a woman I care about. Yet the details of how and why are unclear to me. Bring him back! Bring my baby back to me! I blame my blurred vision on my recent experiments involving the dialectical unity principle and give it a little more thought. I now realize that blind spot to the details of this child's future. Where'd you put him? I didn't touch him. Is me. Stop and smell the roses, Dave. I'm planting a whole garden in honor of Dr. Manhattan. There still isn't any proof that Dr. Manhattan was responsible. Oh, come on. Who else could have made every nuclear weapon on Earth disappear? Well, whatever happened, the March for Peace continues around the clock in nearly every major city, demanding no new nukes are made. The Bulletin of Atomic Scientists have reset the Doomsday Clock, so let's keep it that way, huh? They really ought to come up with a better name. Do you think it was him? How could it not be? Can I pour it? Of course, sweetie. Who could that be? Probably just a paper. I'll get it. Oh, hi. Can I help you? I, I'm sorry to bother you, but a friend of your mom and dad's brought me here. He said they'll know what to do. My mom and dad are making pancakes for lunch. Do you want some? My name's Sally. What's yours? John calls me Clark. Every child comes with the message that God has not yet discouraged of man.